Hello. Welcome to a live CK podcast here on the Basketball Zone YouTube channel. I'm your host, Leo Biaz, and today we are going over De'Aaron Fox's B-Ball index numbers, where he ranks on offense, on defense. It's pretty interesting. Let's just keep it at that. And before we do, though, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. This is a huge stress for the Sacramento Kings as they face the Phoenix Suns tonight. Then they go up against the Indiana Pacers, and you already know what the rivalry is there. Tyrese Haliburton is back in Sacramento. You got to love that. It's going to be a good time. And after that, they face the Clippers. So it's at the Clippers on Saturday. Again, a massive stretch. And as I said last show, they cannot lose 3 games in a row. That will be the sign of growth from an organizational standpoint. So without further ado, let's get to the B-Ball Index stats. As you guys can see, we are on the Google Docs of B-Ball Index here. It's going to show you everything, right? From what type of guard he is, according to them, his role defensively, the offensive archetype. He's a primary ball handler, and his defensive role is the point of attack. We'll get into all those numbers, and these stats are provided by B-Ball Index. It's $5 a month. You guys can get all this information everywhere pretty much. So there's a lot of good stuff on this website. It's my boys McCranges. Make sure you guys support them. B-Ball Index, lots of good analytics here. Unlike the janky website of craftednba.com, where the crafted DPM is minus 1.9, and it makes it seem like De'Aaron Fox is a bad defender. And we'll see right now, and I'll prove to you that he's not a bad defender. Although they do have his crafted OPM pretty accurately at 93 percentile, which is super elite. That's what De'Aaron Fox has been all season long. Extremely elite there, right? Self-creation here. But I had to look at these stats. So let's get to it. So let's look at the opportunity and usage rate, averaging roughly about 32 minutes a night. That's an 89 percentile, so he plays a lot of minutes. Obviously, he's the best player on the team. He has 2 touches a game. He gets a lot of touches a game, right? The value proposition here is 79.3, which again is in the 97th percentile of the entire NBA. That's 130% up versus the average, right? Ball dominance, 95 percentile. It's okay. That's what stars do. They control the ball. Usage rate is up there as well. True usage is up there as well. And total offensive load, 98 percentile. Obviously, when you're this elite offensively, you're going to have the ball in your hands in different ways, though, because we'll get into, the contextual data as well here. But let's look at the perimeter shooting, which is crazy because last year he was awful. And right now he's in the 81 percentile, which is a A minus. So here, B-Ball Index will provide grades for us, and he's an A minus. I never thought I would see this from De'Aaron Fox. Like, I always said, 35 to 36, 37%. This man is just killing it right now, man. So talking about that, there's a great article by our guy Brandon Nunes that just came out. He spoke to Luke Looks, right? The guy that really has helped Fox and his shooting mechanics and everything about it. Make sure you guys check out the article by my guy Brandon Nunes from the King's Pulse podcast. Great stuff there. And the stat that he brought up is there are only 3 players averaging 25 points or more on a higher field goal percentage. And that's Giannis, KD, and Anthony Davis. Now, if you see a correlation, Giannis and AD are pretty much, inside big men that are always there, right, in post-up positions. De'Aaron Fox is the only guard here. which is incredibly impressive. So, without question, if the All-Star break was today, he's without question an All-Star. That's not even debatable. So shout out to Brandon Nunes for a great article there on the Kings Herald. Make sure you guys check that out to give you guys just his box score stats this year. In 17 games, 25 points a game, which really should be 26 because when he got injured against the Hornets, they count that against him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he played 9 minutes and then he was gone for the rest of the game. He had like 8 points in 9 minutes. Like, that would have been another 25 to 30 points a game that night. So that really hurt him. If he removed that game, he's probably at 26 a night. 5 boards, 6 assists, 53%, 38.5 from beyond the arc, 82% from the free throw line. That's pretty good. So let's go back to the B-ball index here. His pull-up three-point shot is getting better, right? He's at a C+ here, which puts him at the 57th percentile in the entire league. That's not bad. That truly isn't bad, especially seeing where he was. And I'll show you guys where he was last year, okay, to give you guys context. His catch-and-shoot three-point percentage, 94th percentile. Grade A. Wow. That is chef's kiss. Chef's kiss, huh? That is impressive. That is impressive there, man. His corner three-point shot is where he's struggling right now. Only at a 39 percentile, which puts him at a D+. You know, that makes sense. That makes sense. They don't have the open rateness yet, or the openness rating yet. Let's look at the quality. His three-point shot quality, which is an overall measure of shot quality combining shot location, openness, and the type of shot. That's a B-. So that's interesting. And I'm going to give that credit to the offense, but especially to the offensive system, but especially Sabonis creating a lot of those looks, right? Especially when they do a lot of DHOs and he creates a lot of that space with his phenomenal screening. So the shot quality is a B-. That's pretty impressive. And then his three-point foul rate, they're saying this is half-court three-point shooting foul rate, three-point shooting fouls attempted, data for half-court possessions. So obviously we know what that means. He's hit a buzzer beater. He's going to get an A for that. I don't put too much stock into that because he's not going to have like incredible opportunities like that all the time. That's not something that he takes very often. Three-point shot making a B, and then three-point shot creation an A-. It's impressive, man, to really see his jump from last year to this year and just career-wise, right? Before we get into all of this more offensive stuff, let's look at his off-ball movement. Right now, his movement attack rate, which is a percentage of half-court non-miscellaneous and putback possessions that a player derived from off-screen possessions and cuts. So it's not good, right? And that's because you have to ask yourself, what's his role on this team? And if you go back up here, right, ball dominance, usage rate. So his off ball, yes, it's gotten better in theory, but that's not his role. His role is to have the ball and to dominate the ball to some extent and to have a higher usage rate. So that means that his movement attack rate is not going to be great. Now, if you look at a guy like Kevin Huerter, I'm probably going to assume that it's pretty good. So they're giving him an F for that. Movement distance rating, which is a role-adjusted offensive feet per minutes played, showing distance traveled relative to other players in the same offensive role, seeks to answer, do they cover a lot of ground for the offensive role they're in? And they're giving him a C. That also makes sense. This is interesting. Movement impact per 75 possessions, right? Points scored from off-screen and cutting scoring chances above and below what the league average efficiency would yield per 75 offensive possessions on the court. An A minus, an 81 percentile. So if anything, it is telling us that his off screen and cutting has improved. So, this is all off ball movement, specifics of certain things here. So that's an A minus. That's pretty good again. As I said earlier, it has improved and he's doing pretty damn good at it. His off-screen possessions. The off-screen scoring opportunities a player had per 75 offensive possessions on the court. A C. That also makes sense, right? Let's look at screening and rolling. Obviously, he doesn't do a lot of that. That's not his role. So you really can't put no value into this. He's a guard. He's a point guard. His offensive rebounding, again, I don't want him in there going up against trees and potentially getting injured. That's not his role. So I don't really look at this and judge him for that. So, it's not going to be the best. His perimeter defense, right? Before we get into his defense, let's keep looking at his offense. So let's look at the contextual data and let's look at the matchup difficulty. It's an estimated degree of difficulty rating for specific players a player had to guard based on data capturing who guarded whom every second of every possession. Grade A. Defensive position versatility. An estimate of a player's defensive versatility based on the profile of positions they spent time guarding in partial possessions data. This is calculated by BBALL Index's Krishna Nasu, a B. So when people tell me that he's not a good defender, that Crafted, that this website, which is trash, is telling me that he's a minus 1.9 and he's in the 2 percentile, which is the worst, that's crazy to me. And the reason too is because of his rim frequency. Look, man, I don't give a damn if he blocks shots as a guard. The context here is just stupid. You can't expect him to block shots and consistently, be a good rim protector in the sense of he's guarding the perimeter, someone attacks him, and he's vertically up. I understand that you would like that, but in his role and his offensive load, that makes zero sense. That makes zero sense. You want him to be good in deflections, which he is. He's in the 85 percentile. Do you want him to be a good defensive rebounding guard, which he is? He's in the 64 percentile. So this crafted DPM takes too much this rim frequency into context, man. And that's why I hate, analytics that depict a player the wrong way. Let's go back to it. His one-on-one, he's a B right now. Per 75 possessions, he's in the 72 percentile, which is pretty solid. His total impact, B+. Isolation turnover rate, the percentage of a player's isolation attempts that a player turned the ball over. He's a D-. That's an area where he needs to improve. He needs to improve there. He's not perfect, right? So that's something that he's going to look at. His finishing. Now this is where, again, it gets super, super interesting. And it shows how valuable he is. Drives per 75 offensive possessions on the court with a regression of the league average driving rate possessions to stabilize small samples. He's an A+. I mean, the guy is a menace when he attacks the rim. You're not going to stop him, so don't even think about it. And y'all can check out the rest of that there. I don't want to make this too long. This is probably the biggest thing for me when I looked at this was his playmaking, because he's always going to be compared to Tyrese whether you like it or not. At the end of the day, whether it's fair or not fair, that's just what it is. Tyrese is a phenomenal playmaker, no question about it. No one has to, try to sugarcoat it. The guy is extremely, extremely smart, high IQ, great awareness, always looking up, pushing the ball in transition. That's what he does. But something that Fox gets really discredited for is his total assist, which again, right now, it's at 6 assists a game, okay? But this is probably the most important part of the show. If I want any of you guys to take anything away from this, and it's the fact that, let me see, right here. And there's an article on nylon calculus, right? Everybody loves nylon calculus if you're a nerd, right? Like if you love stats. This is an estimate of open shots carved out for teammates by drawing defensive attention. Calculations developed by our guy, Ben Taylor, one of the best YouTubers out there. So let me give you guys context of what that means. And there's an article here which was written 5 years ago. Assists aren't a great measure of offensive shot creation. Thank you, guys. And I keep telling you guys this. It's the hockey assist. It's how you draw attention. But let me read it from Ben Taylor's mouth. They suffer from the problem of the rondo assist, which most casual fans do. That's all they look at is how many assists do you average a game, which is an incorrect way of looking at assists and playmaking as a whole. When credit is given for passing to a good isolation score or hitting teammates freed by a screen, these vanilla passes don't tell us whether a player broke down the defense and created an open opportunity for a teammate. During my stat tracking days, I expanded the box score to include a metric called opportunities created. Thank you, Ben. That would account for open scoring attempts generated by players. The basic idea was to give credit to players who create open shots for teammates, regardless of whether that player made the final pass and regardless of whether the shot even went in, to account for variance in teammate quality. It wasn't a perfect solution. For example, should two players receive 50-50 credit for a pick and roll? But it captured defensive warping in the way assists alone cannot. Let me repeat that, this part again. The basic idea was to give credit to players who create open shots for teammates, regardless of whether that player made the final pass. Again, if there's anything I want you to take away from this live show today, is that. And that's what De'Aaron Fox has always done. Has always done this. Has gotten better progressively every single year. But he's always been good at not being the final guy that made the damn final pass. Or if he was, his guys would simply not make the shots that were wide open off of his offensive brilliance. That's what I wanted to say pretty much the entire time. Right? Will this be on the Apple Podcasts? Yes. When looking at the 98th percentile usage, what's the full sample size? It's only 10 players higher than him or something like that? Roughly, yes. Isn't secondary assist rate a better measure? No, it's not. It's not, Kenyon. This is the best measure to measure if you're a good playmaker or not. It's box creation. Because again, I've repeated it countless times, De'Aaron Fox is a very good playmaker. He's a very good passer. It just happens that his guys just don't make shots in previous years. And right now, he's splitting those assists with a guy like Domantas Sabonis. Period. So let's look at his defense, right? Loose ball rec rate, an estimate of the percentage of loose balls a player recovers. This data point often correlates with grittiness and effort on defense. A minus. This was not this high the last 5 years for De'Aaron Fox. And this is where I tell people where you see the massive improvement is his grittiness, his effort. It's there for the first time. We've always known that he was capable. The numbers back it up along with the eye test and the film. It's all there. De'Aaron Fox, man, he has improved tremendously. Tremendously, man. Again, interior defense. Nobody cares about this. He's a effing guard. like we got to stop using these terrible stats against a point guard who, again, defensive matchups, he's guarding the point guard 37.8% of the time, which is the 84th percentile. He takes on the challenge of going up against the other best players. He wants that challenge. And he's the guy that has the highest usage rate. He's scoring the points. He's doing damage. And on top of that, he wants to take on the challenge. His name is Swipe a Fox for a reason, yo. Yes, his damn rim frequency rate is not great. His interior defense isn't great. Who cares? The numbers that matter for a point guard are these that I've pointed out. Perimeter defense, which matters. Steals, deflections. Let me see if they have numbers for the ball screen navigation. They don't have them right now, but that's also important. And he does a very good job at navigating through screens. The best, I would say, is Davion. Davion's just special, though. Davion defensive is just a different type of a beast. But he is, again, primary ball handler, defensive matchups, 91st percentile. Secondary, 59th percentile. The guy takes on these matchups, man. Like, he really does. And let's look at LeBron, right? And something that my good friend Robert Mishovich from Penn State Basketball likes to look at. Raptor wins added. He's at a plus 1.8, which is a B, which is a 72 percentile. He's not at a negative like he was. He's having an all-star season, and we all know it. So enough with this craftednba.com bullcrap. All this is irrelevant because they're taking frame frequency into account way too much, and that's just a fact. We get all the contextual data and all the details on BBALL Index, which is why I like them a lot. Obviously, Synergy, I would like to have Synergy, but it's more expensive. It's not $5 a month. But this gives you everything, man. Like efficiency, stable points per possession, right? Post up, pick and roll, spot up, transition points per game. Like, it's all here. Points per shot, 1.42. That's crazy. A minus, 88 percentile. The guy is just so good offensively this year, man. He is just phenomenal. Holy cow. You got to love it. You got to love it, man. De'Aaron Fox is just a menace. He's doing a great job for the Sacramento Kings. I'm very impressed with what he's done this entire season. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what I mean is this: a secondary assist rate better measure when compared to just raw box score assist numbers, not compared to Ben Taylor's opportunities created. That is what I meant. Let's look at that secondary assists. Right here. Secondary assists. Where's that one at? What did you say? Sorry, navigate all these screens. Secondary assist. Where does it say secondary assists? I don't see it. But either way, I mean, all these grades are super high. They're all super high. But yes, y'all can check out B-Ball Index and look at the statistics yourself. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, man. Tonight, Suns Kings, Pacers Kings on Wednesday, Clippers Kings on Saturday. De'Aaron Fox, barring injury, will be doing all-star things. That's just what he does, man. That's just what he does. The guy is a special talent. I've been saying that for a long time. He finally has a stability that he has needed. The players to go along with him that accentuate his offensive talents, right? That maximize him, De'Aaron Fox. You put a real big man with him, and good things happen. You push shooters around him, and good things happen. They're the second offensive rated team in the NBA behind the Boston Celtics, who they got destroyed by. But it was a bad game. It was a bad game. 16-0 run to end the third. Won't happen again. Mike Brown will be the first to say it won't happen again. I guarantee it. So the confidence is high. I'm going to say this. The Kings will light the beam tonight. They're going to win the game. Right now, they're even money. I think they're -1 for the game. But that's going to do it with y'all. Appreciate you guys for joining the live stream. A lot of you guys will probably watch it after we get off. Lots of good data points here from B-Ball Index. Make sure you guys check them out. Make sure you guys drop a rating on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And I'll see you guys tonight. Peace.